Greetings, my name is Otatane-oso Freeman Andrew, aka 2’WYTH the Do Poet. I'm that poet that can make you dance to poetry. Yeah. So as a poet, I've come to realize that poetry is my superpower. And above all things, as someone who's multi-talented, I have different reasons to leave poetry and do other things, but why I chose poetry and I stand by poetry and I choose poetry as my premium talent is because poetry is a great resource that empowers other things I do. So poetry is like the fiber of life that powers every other thing that I do. And so today on this interview about the poems I love, I'll be reading 4 poems, 3 from the poet who inspired me while coming up as a poetista, and then 1 from me. So let me start with one of them. All right, so this poem is titled Still I Rise. Still I Rise is by Maya Angelou. It goes thus. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very death, but still, like dust, I rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? Because I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room, just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eye, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me down with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at a meeting of my thighs? Out of the heart of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise, I rise. That's Maya Angelou for you. So this poem is about identity. It's about hope. It's about knowing that you are actually a metaphor of a billion ancestors seeking for expression. So as a person, you have to sankofa for you to go far. That means you have to know who you are. You have to know your history. You have to know your ancestry so that you will know the line of people you're coming from. When you know the line of people you're coming from, then you can now say that if my ancestors can do this, then I can do better. Having that back knowledge of who you are, it helps you to become a better person and a better version of who you are. All right, so that's for Maya Angelou, Still I Rise. Then I'll be reading another poem titled The Second Coming by Butler, Yeats, or W.B. Yeats. Now, let me give you an inside information about this poem. Okay, when I finish reading the poem, I'll give you the inside information. The Second Coming by Butler, Yeats. It goes thus. Turning and turning in the widening glare, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood-dimmed tide is loosed, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. Surely, some revelation is at hand. Surely, the second coming is at hand. The second coming. Hardly are those words out when a vast image of the spiritus mundi troubles by sight somewhere in sand of the desert, a shape with lion body and the head of a man, a gaze blank and pitiless as the sun, is moving its slow ties while all about it wheel shadows of the indignant desert birds. The darkness drops again. But now I know that 20 centuries of stony sleep were vexed to nightmare by a rocking cradle. And what rough beasts its are come round at last, slouches towards Bethlehem to be born. Now, the backstory of this poem, the front story of this poem is the fact that this poem is what inspired, the third line is what inspired the magnus opus of Chinua Achebe. Have you heard about Things Fall Apart? That book was actually birthed by the third line of this poem, which is things fall apart, the center cannot hold. So imagine what a line of a poem can do to anyone. With that line of a poem, he was able to write a novel that became a bestseller in the world. And that novel is his magnus opus. And today, that novel, they've celebrated 50 years and more, of the existence of that novel. That's the power of poetry. Poetry inspires you to do more, So then, so I'm going to read my own poem. But then before that, the second coming is talking about a lot of things. Let me just dwell more about things fall apart, the center cannot hold. This poem is talking about some kind of anarchy, anarchy in concepts. You're seeing this, another person is seeing that, But then in life, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. But in order for you to benefit from the opinion of the next person, you have to have a liberal mind, a liberal mindset, so that when you see from the lens of the other person, even if you don't concur to what the person is saying, is positive, you can still benefit from the wisdom of that person's point of view. You understand? So that is what this poem is talking about. Now, my poem is titled Billion Ancestors, Egostes. Billion ancestors. I am a metaphor of a billion ancestors seeking for expression. I carry the genes of possibilities, the name of impossibilities, got nothing on me because I am naked and stylish. Deep down with my bone marrow is the wind that makes the Iroko to dance, the oceans to roar, making waves in the midst of the hairline, so call me a barber. Indeed, I be barber in this wizardry of words. These feats of mine are bulldozers, doing groundbreaking for the real estate for the people to come and invest in the beauty we saw years ago. That someday, an evolved forest will become a residential, a village will become a city when you look through the binoculars of my vision. These shoulders of mine have done the heavy lifting. These shoulders of mine have done the heavy lifting. So come sit and see the future. Invest now, smile later. 2’WYTH, baby, power. All right, so this poem, Binoculars. Binoculars is the title of the poem. This poem is talking about identity. It's talking about history. It's talking about ancestral knowledge, ancestral intelligence. For everyone who is giving birth, you are coming from a long line of ancestors. So there are people who have come before you, who have seen life in different perspectives, different points of view. And for you to know who you are as a person, you have to know your history. You have to have an idea of your ancestral line, to know the people who have come before you. When you know history, when you know when you're conversant with your ancestral line, then you can now look into yourself and then discover more of you, who you are. When you now know more of who you are and you know more of history, then you can now discover what you want to do with your own life and know what you can add to what they have done. So it is very important for you to know that you are a metaphor of a billion ancestors seeking for expression, because your dreams, your aspirations, whatever you want to fulfill in life, they are tied to who you are. They are tied to your ancestry. They are tied to your own core as a person. Why you are here? You are here to fulfill a purpose. And what is attached to that purpose sometimes is the dreams, the aspirations of some of your ancestors who did it but couldn't finish. So you can still be inspired by some of their dreams and aspirations, and then you take it up, and from there you fly. So you are a metaphor of a billion ancestors seeking for expression. 2’WYTH, the true poet.